are again. All
Yeah,
elite.
and we're a little late.
Yeah, so before we get into this review, welcome back to the channel, y'all. And my sincerest apologies that this review is as late as it is, mainly because, number one, we all have busy lives. Number two, this pay-per-view was on a Saturday night, and, like, our schedules just didn't line up. I'll just be completely honest, and I had to work early the next morning, too. I had to go up to my day job, but, hey, you know what? Better late than never. And honestly, Tomas, I'm glad I have you on again to talk about this, first and foremost, but like, we were talking about this a lot, like, in between. Like, I'm so glad we actually had these couple of days to, like, digest this show, because this is...
Yeah. It feels like the wrestling world as a whole, just like, you know, they needed a minute because, okay, we're going to say this right now. I love All Elite Wrestling, every single worker that is in AEW right now. But, you know, as the old saying goes, sometimes you get the bear and sometimes the bear gets you. And the bear definitely got AEW during this pay-per-view.
Yeah, they did. We're going to be talking, of course, about AEW's All Out 2020, live from Daly's Place in Jacksonville, where they've been running their show since the start of the pandemic. There were two matches on the buy-in show, which I kind of had it on in the background, but I'll be honest, I had another projects going on in my backyard, so I completely missed the first match. Apparently, Joey Janela pinned Serpentico. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that lad's name correctly, but I completely missed the match. Did you watch it at all, Tomas?
Yeah, I did, and let's just say this right now about the pre-show. It had AEW Dark written all over it. Nothing against AEW Dark, but I am not a frequent watcher of that. And this match just, you know, it was fine. It was well enough. I want to talk about the positives first. AEW is allowing little by little to have a live audience there.
Yes.
And let me just tell you, it is nice.
It is
see
great.
People in the audience with signs, excited for the show. And for the first quarter of the show, you know, their presence was there. It was nice to have a live presence. You know, going back to AEW Dynamite and seeing how genuinely happy Chris Jericho was that there was a live audience, that he, you know, volunteered to do commentary for a little bit just so he could hear the crowd sing his theme song again.
Yeah, Jericho looked so happy during this show to hear the crowd, like, singing his theme song, but might be getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But there was about, like, 700 people there, all physically distanced from each other, of course, and, like, you know, their own private parties. But yeah, Janela pinned Serpentico on the pre-show. I completely missed the match. I caught a little bit. I caught the ending of the tag team match, and I saw Private Party pin two unnamed members of the Dark Order. It was a pretty good match from what I saw.
It was Alex Reynolds and John Silver, collectively known as 3 and 4.
Yeah, see, there's so many members of the Dark Order that I just don't know, like, who these numbers are by name, you know? It's like, no offense, but, like...
That was a fun match. I really like Private Party. And
they're great.
I hope Private Party starts getting more opportunities because they are probably they're definitely top 3 AEW tag teams right now. And to see Mark Quinn get that TNT title shot all those months ago was really nice to see
during the Open Challenges phase.
Yeah, but pre-show it was there. The tag team match was a lot better.
Yes.
But I gotta point out now that they lied during the Janela match. And right after the match, they said Joey Janela will be in the casino battle royale. And spoiler alert, he was nowhere to be seen.
Nope.
So
nowhere to be found.
I know Janela gets pretty upset at AEW for kind of pulling the rug underneath him. So I hope this just wasn't, and I hope that wasn't the case. I hope it was just they had a brain fart on commentary.
Yeah.
Or maybe I had a brain fart and I heard something that I didn't mean to hear. Maybe I misheard that.
Maybe. I'm not entirely sure, man. But, like, yeah, we'll get into the casino battle royale. But the main show kicks off with the one match that I did not think would be the one to open the pay-per-view. That being the tooth and nail match, Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D. versus Big Swole. Now, I will say, first and foremost, I'm extremely happy to see these girls get the opportunity on the main show, because originally AEW announced this match for the buy-in, and people were outraged because this was big rivalry being played up on Dynamite. And I'll admit, I was one of those people. It was a big, big story and a big way to utilize Dr. Baker, like, during her, like, time off from injury. But
oh yeah, she was getting built as this big heel, and she couldn't even wrestle. And she was
yeah,
being built up better than a lot of people see get built up. And she was bound to a chair,
she was.
with the broken nose, with a barrier around her, and a Rebel.
Oh yeah, Reba. I think Reba, the
Reba.
receptionist.
I'm sorry.
The receptionist, right?
Yeah, we'll get
Yeah.
into that. But and Big Swole. I am very impressed with Big Swole. She has been getting a lot of TV time, and she is very good. And one thing I will say about this match, she showed off her charisma during this match.
Oh, totally, totally.
This match did make me a fan of Big Swole. So good on her for that. But opening with this match was a mistake.
It absolutely was. I agree. This seems like the match, no offense, it seems like the intermission style of match that you put in the middle of the show, similar to the women's tag at WrestleMania 31. Like, you have like 3 big matches in the first half of the show, then you cut it off with the women's tag, and then you have Cena, Rusev onwards to close out the night. But this felt
I feel like I would have been a lot. Okay, so I'm going to paint this picture and why I thought this opening with this match was a big mistake.
Okay.
You have a crowd. You're hyping up this pay-per-view. You spend the first 5 minutes of the pay-per-view running down the card. You're finally waiting for action to start. You're finally. And then you cut to a dentist office.
Yeah.
And the people there had to watch it on the Tron. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that moment in the beginning of a wrestling show where everyone's excited. They want to hear that music hit. They want to cheer for the person or boo for the first person that comes out. And you kind of, you lose it. You lose it.
Yeah,
you cut to a dentist office.
Yeah, that was one of my big cons for this pay-per-view was the match order, and this should not have been the opening match. I agree. I mean, that's not to say that I didn't enjoy the match. I found some fun in it. I really liked how Big Swole entered the dentist's office, and it almost felt like a horror movie when she walks in. She opens one of the cabinets, and you have a bunch of chattering false teeth in there. I was just like, that's kind of corny, but I kind of like that.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of something you would expect from like a broken Matt Hardy match or
Britt Baker,
Bray Wyatt kind of.
Britt Baker hits Big Swole in the head with one of her diplomas, and I was like, I would never want to do that. But apparently, Britt Baker has multiple diplomas in her office. I'm like, I don't even know how you get multiple copies of your diploma, but Britt Baker tries pulling out a tooth of Big Swole, and I was like, Jesus, this match is starting off.
I will say they definitely played up the dentist factor in this match.
They did.
You know, and I'm not gonna lie, I did get some flashbacks to Jerry Lawler in Dr. Isaac Yankum's office way back in the day when Glenn Jacobs made his debut in WWE, and he he was feuding with Bret Hart, and then, you know, Jerry Lawler goes to his office and he recruits Isaac Yankum. And again, that's the only dentist reference you ever get in wrestling. And so that's the first thing I go to.
Yeah. Well, just a reminder, 1995 is considered one of the worst years in WWF history too. But Isaac Yankum, I'm having bad flashbacks. But so Dr. Britt Baker's gimmick is also role model. I read the words role model on her tights, and I'm like, I've seen that somewhere.
Yeah, and okay, I get the joke because she was in a wheelchair and she's a role model. But when the biggest heel on SmackDown's gimmick is already role model, it doesn't come off that good.
AEW just, I feel like, needs to focus more on doing their own thing. And they said they were going to focus on doing their own thing, but, I mean, they're just firing shots at WWE left and right. But anyway.
And before we get ripped apart by the AEW fanboy base, we are going to talk about good things in this pay-per-view, too. Do not worry. We like this promotion. If we did not like this promotion, we wouldn't have spent $50 on this pay-per-view.
Exactly right. Yeah, amen to that.
Got to get that out of the way now.
Yeah, but they fight outside for a little bit. Reba is freaking out like through the entire thing. Reba back inside gets a syringe with Novocaine, and she hands it to Dr. Baker. But Big Swole reverses, and Britt takes a syringe to the thigh. This match was not terrible because Dr. Baker was literally like, she was willing to take a syringe to the thigh for the sake of telling a story. And I really liked how she sold that her leg has fallen asleep.
That was creative.
Yeah.
That was very creative.
It really was.
If you're going to beat anyone in a dentist's office, you know, you use the Novocaine. That was Big Swole being very smart. If anyone else was in that situation, if this was a real life situation, and for whatever reason you were getting attacked in a dentist's office, yes, you use a Novocaine.
Yes.
It numbs Baker's leg, and she's a sitting duck at that point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Dirty dancing by Swole on both women. And then this is where the match kind of went downhill for me. I'm pretty sure Big Swole grabs a little gas mask filled with nitrous oxide, which for those of you who are familiar with dentistry vocabulary, this is laughing gas. And she basically knocks out Dr. Baker, and the match just kind of ends.
So I think that was a little unnecessary. You already with Nova, she's numb. You knocked her out with an elbow, just pin her there. I feel like it was either they do the Novocaine spot or they do the laughing gas spot. I feel like both was just a little overkill.
Little bit, yeah. But laughing gas and Swole wins, but she never pinned Britt Baker. I gave the match 2 stars out of 5. Fun little sequence of violence, I guess. I mean, I would not have opened with this at all, as we've mentioned. But here's my biggest problem with the match. Big Swole takes her out with laughing gas. Britt Baker wakes up like not even a minute later, and she doesn't even sell the fact that she just got hit with laughing gas by like a big fit of laughter. Like she's just...
That is the equivalent of when a wrestler takes a finisher and they get pinned and then they immediately get up and you just got hit with the first thing that comes to mind is John Cena JBL from Judgment Day 2008. JBL beats the piss out of Cena for 18 minutes, and then Cena hits the attitude adjustment, pins JBL, and then JBL gets up like 2 seconds later. So it's like you can't stay down just for a little bit.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you brought that up because that bothers me so much when wrestlers do that.
Right, and if
you're the goddamn finisher.
Yeah, and if you're not going to stay down, at least, sell the fact that you just got hit with laughing gas, and Britt Baker didn't even stifle one iota of laughter after that. And I'm like, you're a dentist. You should know this. I don't know. But...
So, yeah, 2 stars for me as well. It was fun. I feel like I would have had a lot more fun with this match, again, if it didn't open the show.
Yeah. Speaking
but
of...
at the same time, I feel like this tooth and nail match was to get Big Swole over without making Baker look weak. Because, again, she's the biggest women's heel in AEW right now. And she didn't even wrestle. And she's been on the shelf for so long that this is her first match back. I feel like they were trying to protect both women, which good on them for making Big Swole look good. After this match made her go from jobber to she could challenge for the AEW Women's World Title now. They need to start putting her in that position. Because she's getting over.
I would love to see that, too. Man, yeah, she was great. But next up, we have the match that should have opened the show. What do we got, Tomas?
We got the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, versus Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, representing Lucha Express, with the annoying little piss at himself Marco Stunt. I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon with this. I can't stand him.
Marco Stunt, I think, is funny. I don't...
Creepy.
I don't remember when it was. I think there was a 6-man tag with the Elite and the Jurassic Express. I don't remember if it was Fyter Fest or Fight for the Fallen, but I know there was a 6-man tag, and Marco Stunt was actually one of my favorite parts of that match, if I'm being completely honest.
You talking about the match where Kenny Omega knocked him out? That was my favorite part.
God. But, I mean, in any case... This is more like it. The Jurassics are freaking awesome, man. They are just such an excellent tag team. And the Young Bucks are the Young Bucks. We all know how great they are. But, man, this was the
fun.
best.
This was a very fun match.
Oh, man. Just tag team wrestling at its finest right here, I would say. Nick Jackson and Jungle Boy start with lots of great flippy shit, lots of great flippy arm drags. Nick Jackson, the big story with this match is that the Young Bucks have a little bit more attitude than usual because they're dealing with, the whole big split up that's coming up between Hangman and Kenny. Getting a little bit ahead of myself, but the Young Bucks are showing a little bit more of an edge in this match. Nick slaps away a handshake at one point. Luchasaurus comes in. Marco Stunt is instigating Matt on the outside. I couldn't help but laugh at it, but later on, you had your way, Tomas. Marco Stunt got super kicked like nobody's business.
I feel like, and again, I'm not going to, despite my little outburst right there, I'm going to try not to be hard on Stunt, but I feel like AEW is a little aware that the fans kind of shit on him a little. So I feel like lately they've been throwing them a bone and just like, okay, you want to see Marco Stunt get kicked in the face? Well, here you go.
Totally. Man, I mean, personally, I don't mind Marco Stunt, but I mean, yeah, I can definitely see why people are annoyed by him. But I mean, the Jurassic Express, I would love to see them become the tag team champions at some point because they are just such an amazing team.
And again, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but with new tag team champions in FTR, I feel like we're going to start getting some fresh matchups because, and you know, this pay-per-view really showed between the Bucks, between Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, between even Private Party in the pre-show. Yeah, I really have nothing more else to say about this match. That it was really fun, and it should have opened the show.
It was
and
great.
What was the finish for this match?
This was, oh man, so there was so much action going on. The Young Bucks are still, like, I think the best tag team walking the face of the planet right now. They come up with so much innovative, like, offensive maneuvers. It's just so unbelievable to see that. I was completely in awe. I was marking out through this match, if I'm being completely honest. Like, there was a flip choke slam by Luchasaurus on Nick on top of Matt for a really great false finish. Best headbutt in the business belongs to Luchasaurus. I'll just say that. Jungle Boy is flying all over the place, and I wrote down this match rules. But getting down to the finish, yeah, Canadian Destroyer on Luchasaurus. Rope hung Swanton on Jungle Boy, which looked like a really sick bump for a near fall. Another flip bump choke slam by Luchasaurus, intercepting the Meltzer driver, which must be your favorite move on the planet. They hit the extinction level at one point, but Luchasaurus basically hits the plancha, but he hits all those, like, wrestlers that are, you know, kind of sitting in the crowd, you know, in the floor section.
He was launched into the crowd, basically.
Oh, he was in orbit for sure. So Jungle Boy's pretty much left all by himself. I really enjoyed how they made Jungle Boy look in this match. Like, if they wanted to give Jungle Boy a singles push, I would not be opposed to that personally.
Oh yeah, we all know how much JR loves Jungle Boy.
Oh yeah.
Even, you know, even going out of his way on his podcast, say, like, to everyone who's asking, I asked his permission if I can call him Jack Perry. And I think he's a phenomenal wrestler, so don't think I'm calling him Jack Perry against his own wishes. And JR, like, goes on and on and on about how much he loves Jungle Boy.
Yeah.
So it shows how much it you know, if you know, he had that match with Chris Jericho all those months ago on Dynamite.
He had the match with
yeah,
sorry to cut you off. He also had the match with MJF at Double or Nothing, which was one of my favorite matches on that show. But man, so good.
So yeah, if there's you know, if anyone's putting Jungle Boy in the good light of AEW, it's good old JR Jim Ross.
Absolutely.
He loves that kid.
Yeah, but yeah, here's the finish. Jungle Boy, they actually had him kicked out of the super kick party, which, again, I really popped for. I was like, how is this friggin' match going to end? But then, like, 2 seconds later, the Bucks hit the BTE trigger, and that gets the 3 count. 4.25 stars out of 5. This was personally my favorite match on the entire pay-per-view. This match freaking ruled. Bravo to all 4 involved. And again, yeah, this should have opened the pay-per-view. The crowd was hot for it. They were cheering both teams when they came out, and I mean, it didn't get a "This is awesome" chant. I really feel like it should have, but I'm going to go into a little bit of a tangent on that once we get there. But yeah, what did you think?
Definitely a 4-star match for me as well. Again, should have opened the show. It was great tag team action from both teams. And like I said, new tag team champions on the horizon. We're going to get some fresh matchups because it's definitely needed.
Yes, I'm super excited to see that. Which, speaking of fun, is it's a fun concept that we have here. We have the 21-man casino battle royale. The winner gets a future AEW world title match to be determined at a later date. Basically, the rules of a casino battle royale, it works kind of the same way as a Royal Rumble, except the competitors enter in groups. And I think it's a really creative way how they, like, draw the entry number by, like, the suit on the deck of cards.
And I feel like they did this because there were a lot of tag teams in this match.
Yeah.
Between Best Friends, SoCal Uncensored, Okay, I'm gonna go on a tangent real quick because I never get to go on this.
Yeah.
I hate how they're only called SCU.
Yeah,
AEW, you want to say what SCU stands for? It stands for SoCal Uncensored.
it does.
Like, I know that's another rant for another time.
Yeah.
I will call them SCU after I have established that they are called SoCal Uncensored. Anywho,
SoCal
between
Uncensored.
Best Friends, SCU,
The
Lucha
Inner
Bros,
Circle.
Butcher and the Blade,
The Inner Circle. Yeah, like three
Hager,
Inner Circle members in this match.
Santana Ortiz,
Yeah.
Team Taz, and Eddie Kingston
Yeah.
and his crew,
And
which
the
is Butcher, Blade, and the Lucha Bros.
yeah, did you say you said Lucha Bros. Yeah, yeah. But
Yeah. And
so
okay, Pentagon changed his name.
yeah, he's been Penta L0M for like a while, hasn't he? Or did he not?
Well, I know when they returned, he was still going by Pentagon. I think that I could have sworn this is like the first time I've heard him called that. I know in TNA he was Pentagon Dark.
Okay.
And
yeah.
then I think he
Dark.
was Pentagon Junior for a bit.
Yeah.
But this is honestly, unless I'm not paying attention, and anyone can correct me, correct us. This is the first I'm hearing him go by Penta El Zero.
Yeah, feel free to correct us in the comments down below in case you notice anything. But yeah, pretty much order of entry. First group is Trent, Christopher Daniels, Jake Hager, The Blade, and Ray Phoenix. I love Justin Roberts' introduction of Ray Phoenix. It's just so good.
Is it Phoenix
group,
or Phoenix? Because Justin Roberts is the only one that calls him Ray Phoenix.
And everyone else says Phoenix. Did I say Phoenix? I don't even.
You said Phoenix, yeah, but no, Roberts is the only one that calls him Phoenix.
That's interesting, man. Yeah,
it kind of reminds me how JR would pronounce Sin Cara.
Sin Cara, yep, yeah.
But I think that's just JR being an old white man. Either Phoenix is the correct pronunciation, or Ray has never gone out of his way to correct Justin Roberts.
Fair enough, yeah. But second group coming in is Kazarian, Will Hobbs. I know Tomas wants to talk a little bit about Will Hobbs. Chucky
Bay Area represent. That's all I will say, and we'll get to that.
Will Hobbs was super impressive in this match. But yeah, the round of the second group is Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz, formerly known as LAX. I will say that the camera completely missed Jake Hager's elimination of Christopher Daniels, and it really pissed me off. But
they missed a couple like big eliminations, and we will get more into how AEW is still, regardless of how well they're doing, they're still a new wrestling company, and they got some kinks they need to work out of that company.
They do, yeah. The next group, by the way, Penta L0M, Darby Allin, Ricky Starks, Brian Cage, and Billy Gunn, who is immediately eliminated by Brian Cage. I was like, way to put over the young talent, Billy. Good job. And then the last group is...
Who apparently, and I'm reading this here, and I know I heard this, he's just going by Billy.
Yeah, I guess because his son is in the promotion, Austin Gunn.
Yeah, and I think they are calling him Billy of the Gun Club.
Yeah, that would make sense.
As of now, I will be referring to him as the one Billy Gunn.
The one Billy Gunn. God, 2002. Yeah, the Zack Talk cinematic.
I will not let the meme die.
God, he's the one and only.
I will not let the meme die.
But
one
last
Billy Gunn
group
is relevant in 2020.
Last group is Sean Spears, formerly Ty Dillinger, Sonny Kiss, who actually eliminated Jake Hager from this match, which I was like, wow, Sonny Kiss, kill it, man. We got Eddie Kingston, leader of the new Filthy Animals, the Butcher, and Lance Archer rounds out that group. And then we have the Joker card, who I really want to talk about. Matt Sydal, formerly known as Evan Bourne to all the WWE marks out there.
So happy to see him.
I was
so
too.
happy to see that he still has his third eye open. He's hot. He's out. Sydal's in the company. He goes to the top rope, and I'm going to go into why this was so scary for me.
Yeah.
He goes for his shooting star press, the one that he made famous, and he trips. And I'm not saying this to sound gloomy, but the first thought I thought in my mind is he's going to die.
Yeah.
And thankfully, because he is so talented, he was able to catch himself midair, twist himself around, and land on his back. But in a very nasty way. I saw Will Cobb break kayfabe to crawl over to him to make sure he was not dead.
Oh, yeah.
And that was scary.
Thankfully,
that was
he was okay.
Of many scary spots in this night.
This is going to be a bad omen. A common theme you'll notice with this show is accidents happen.
The reason why this scares me so much is that the Shooting Star Press is Matt Sydal's bread and butter. He is responsible for WWE reinstating that move because he did it so safely.
Yeah.
And to see him go for a move that he's gone for thousands of times before, and him just, again, I'm not saying, oh, he's an idiot. He's, no, just to see something that he has done time and time again, for it to go so wrong to the point where someone had to break kayfabe to make sure he was not dead.
Yeah.
It was scary.
Totally.
It took me, honestly, it took me a few minutes to get back in the match because I was just like, holy shit. We almost saw Matt Sydal die.
Thankfully, he was okay. He lasted until the final three. I believe Lance Archer was the one that tossed him out, if I remember right. But Darby Allin also took a really scary bump on his elimination. Like, Brian Cage put him in a body bag filled with thumbtacks, and he, throws him over the rope onto the stage. And I'm like, you're going to freaking kill this poor lad if you keep doing shit like that.
Two things that didn't scare me as much as the Sydal bump did. Number one, apparently most of the thumbtacks didn't even make it into the bag. So thankfully, Allin wasn't taking as much of a thumbtack bump. But Allin is so good at taking those nasty bumps. He kind of reminds me of Jeff Hardy in a way like that. So thankfully, they probably asked. Brian Cage probably just went up to him backstage and say, hey, I'm going to put you in a body bag and throw you over the top rope. You cool with that? He's like, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
We're
talking about a man who jumped off a 70-foot ledge and did a coffin drop into a foam pit.
Absolutely fearless is that man. I
love Darby Allin.
Yeah, all the respect in the world for him. But final two comes down to Lance Archer and Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston basically eliminated by a top rope chokeslam after Jake the Snake Roberts at ringside scares him with Damien in the bag. Lance Archer is the number one contender. And honestly, again, I'm happy to see that it's a fresh match, but it kind of spoiled the ending of the night.
But at the same time, you couldn't have given it to Eddie Kingston.
I mean, he did have that TNT title match. I'll give you that. Admittedly, I haven't really seen.
I'm saying that because I don't like Archer.
Right.
I think he's all hype, in my opinion.
Really?
I think they built him up very good in the packages. I think making Jake the Snake Roberts his mouthpiece was a brilliant idea. But after that TNT title match with Cody, I just feel like they haven't been doing anything with him. And it's kind of just like,
what was
the hype?
Which is kind of why I'm glad he won this Battle Royal, because he's been hyped for so long and he's just kind of been floating for a little bit. He had a brief feud with Joey Janela, and I believe they fought a Fight for the Fallen, if I remember right. But
you know what? After you say that, maybe that was harsh. My issue isn't with Archer; it's the booking of Archer, because all the pieces are there. The video packages of him beating down everyone in the backyard, setting, that was good. Again, making Jake Roberts his mouthpiece, brilliant. But all the pieces are there. AEW. I think you hot-shotted him just a little. And if you knew he wasn't going to go over against Cody, just like my gripe with Brody Lee before they put the TNT title on him, okay, fine. You got Brody Lee. He loses to Jon Moxley in his first match. Where do you go from there?
Right.
So I feel like that's my same thing with Archer. It looks like they recovered well with Brody Lee. Hopefully they recover with Archer.
I mean, hey, maybe he beats Moxley for the title later on, but I mean,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, as far as
that's fine. Not getting on you for that. I'm just saying, spoiler alert. If you're watching our review and you haven't watched the pay-per-view, then I don't know why. I don't know what you're expecting.
That's on you. I'm sorry, but I mean, anyway. So I would give the battle royal itself like 2.5 stars. Honestly, it's fun. I mean, it wasn't the best battle royal I've ever seen. I feel like there were too many like blown spots for my liking, and of course you have the scary shooting star press. But yeah, thankfully Sydal was okay. I can't wait to see what else he does for this promotion. But like,
I give it 2.75 only because I love battle royals. I love the Royal Rumble. It was just really fun to watch, and it was a nice, it was a nice break from the straight up wrestling that we get in this pay-per-view, which is nothing wrong with that. Just
nothing wrong with that at all. And before we continue on, I also have to like reiterate something that I might have said on my Double or Nothing review. I love this concept way more than the casino ladder match, because essentially the casino ladder match is like one guy at a time runs out, and it works the same way as a Money in the Bank ladder match. It's like the Money in the Bank and the Royal Rumble's secret love child almost. But like, my problem with the casino ladder match is like, so do they have to wait to climb the ladder until everyone is involved? Why even go through with all this stuff like beforehand?
Yeah,
this brouhaha?
That's a good point.
Like, why not just start with all 10 men in the ring? You know, it's like, just do a normal ladder match. Like, you don't need to do all this like nonsense beforehand. And if I were like, sorry to cut you off, but like, if I were personally one of the first two guys in a casino ladder match, my strategy would be to knock the piss out of the other guy I'm in the ring with and climb up that ladder as fast as I can and grab the poker chip, and then I win, so that nobody else gets a chance. Yeah.
Thy name is wrestling.
Logic. Thy name is wrestling. Absolutely.
But hey, Zach.
What's up?
Are you ready to get? Are you ready to get sad? Are you ready to get mad?
No. Broken rules.
Because the next match
Sammy Guevara.
Broken Matt Hardy, Sammy Guevara, Broken Rules match.
Yeah.
So before we get into the obvious, let's talk about what this match even is. And this is how I perceive this. I heard Broken Rules. The first thing that popped in my head is, cool, they're going to do some fun shit at the Hardy compound.
Yeah.
And then immediately said, it's a last man standing match. And then in my mind, I go, then why not just call it a last man standing match?
Damn it. Everybody knows how much I hate the last man standing match as it is. Like, because there's no like exciting spots for those like 1, 2, 3 near falls. You wait for freaking like whoever the referee is to count to 10, and it's like it's always drawn out, and you're just like waiting until like 8, 9. Oh, he's back up. Like sometimes
it's kind of like if I gave you a slice of cake, Zach, and I said, ooh, guess the flavor, and you taste it, and before you say anything, I say it's chocolate. I was like, oh, yay, we're going to get something fun. And they say it's a last man standing match. And I was like.
And not to say there's anything wrong with chocolate cake. Like.
But, the mystery wasn't there. Like, I hear Broken Rules, and I'm like, they're going to do some fun stuff. Like, tooth and nail. We didn't know what that was.
Yeah. And it looked like.
That was more creative.
It looks like they were on track to do some fun stuff in this match. It actually started in the Jaguar Stadium, and they actually brawled around.
Which I thought was fun. That was
Sammy Guevara on a golf cart. I thought that was a fun spot. He took that was
fun because Sammy Guevara getting hit by the golf cart has become a meme.
It has.
And I feel like AEW is referencing that it is a meme now.
Oh, yeah.
And then all the fun gets thrown out the window because they start brawling. And they get to what I know as a genie lift, and I'm sure you know as a genie lift as well, because we were in theater.
Mm-hmm.
But they climb up this genie lift, and there are some tables.
Here we go.
And Guevara and Hardy jump off the lift, and they go through the tables, and Hardy overshoots the table, and he hits his head on the concrete.
Yeah.
And when I saw that spot, I was like, felt like Hardy's head hit the concrete, but I thought, okay, if he's still getting up, then okay. I don't know. I was very confused during this match, as a lot of people were. They were down.
Yeah.
And then Aubrey Edwards did the smart thing, and she threw out the match. She threw up the X.
Yes.
I saw the X, and the first thing I thought was, oh, well, I know the X is serious, but they keep using it as a work that I thought it was a work. And the first thing I thought was, this better be serious because you don't play with the X.
Yeah.
You don't call 911, and when the ambulance get there, you say, haha, just kidding. Pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Stop using the X and works.
If I may.
If someone throws up the X, they
Yeah.
better be heard.
If I may, yeah. Aubrey Edwards did the exact right thing. Like, and to your point, yeah, Sammy Guevara, like, hits Matt Hardy with a spear off the Genie, and Sammy hits the table. Matt completely misses it. His legs hit the table. The back of his head hits the concrete, and Matt Hardy is unconscious for, like, at least 45 seconds, and he is unmoving. And I was just sitting there with the most uncomfortable feeling of dread. Like, I just saw a man's career end right here. And Aubrey
How
Edwards.
you felt during that spot is how I felt when Sydal crashed, because I was confused.
Yeah.
I was confused. And I was sitting there just going, why isn't Aubrey counting? Like, it's a last man standing match. Count. What's going on? Why are you pulling an Earl Hebner and not counting unless it's a big spot? I mean, that's a big spot. So, okay, before we get into more of this, let me remind everybody, we like to have fun.
We do.
We love wrestling. We don't like being mad. We don't like being sad. But when something like this happens, of course we're going to be pissed. And of course we're going to address it.
Okay, so real quick. So Aubrey throws up the X, and, like, the match is thrown out, and I'm like, okay, Matt's got a concussion. It can't continue. I completely understand. They'll throw it off on a Dynamite or something like that, and on the main event, no less, probably. But then they continue to fight in the crowd, and then I'm just like, why the fuck is this match continuing?
Okay, like, but also don't forget, the bell rung, and they threw out the match. And then all of a sudden I hear, there must be a winner. No explanation, no follow-up. I just hear Justin Roberts say, there must be a winner. Ring the bell. And I was confused, just going, what is going on? What happened? And that's when I realized, okay, Hardy got hurt. And what I was hearing after the match was two things. Hardy said he was okay, which I could see. We know wrestlers, they get hurt. The adrenaline's going. They're saying, no, I can keep going, even though they probably can't. So I could see that. The other thing that I hear, which is more irresponsible, is that the doctor said Hardy was okay.
Yes.
He obviously wasn't. He couldn't even stand.
He was unmoving. Like, he was like, it looked like he was freaking paralyzed when he hit the floor. And I was like, this match is over. This man's career is over right here. And I've been seeing, like, that's a really great point, Tomas, because I've been seeing a lot of really, like, varying opinions on who to blame for this whole fiasco. I've seen minimal people blaming Aubrey Edwards, and whoever's blaming Aubrey Edwards, you're wrong, because she absolutely did the right thing. She threw up the X, and, like, as the senior official, I feel like she should have that authority, like, for the wrestler's safety. And that's the thing
to throw out the match.
And that's the thing with all entertainment, safety first, Like, Aubrey absolutely did the right thing, throwing the match out. Some people have been blaming Sammy Guevara because he was the one that initiated
How is this Guevara's fault?
It's not. Sammy Guevara,
fault?
At least I would trust Sammy Guevara 100% in a match. Like, he seems like a very safe, dependable worker. And like I said,
everyone who's blaming Guevara,
accidents happen.
Take it this way. If it was the other way around and Hardy was the one that speared Guevara, Guevara would have been the one that hit his head on the concrete.
Yeah.
They overshot the table. It happens.
Yeah. Guevara got really, really lucky, too. Like, some people have blamed Matt Hardy himself.
People are blaming Guevara because of the botched chair shot from a few weeks ago, when he threw the chair at Hardy's head and it cut him open.
Yeah.
It's not. Okay, I know everyone is mad at Sammy Guevara right now. But when and I'm sorry, I'm getting a little heated just because.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I feel like everyone's getting heated about the situation.
It's a perfect outlet.
I understand people getting mad at Guevara, but when it's not someone's fault, it's not their fault. You can't just automatically assume it's their fault. And this was not Guevara's fault.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Some people have been blaming Matt Hardy himself for saying that he was okay and continuing the match. Honestly, like any wrestler from Matt Hardy's like prime, like, you know, go back to like 2004, like 2003 even. A lot of those wrestlers, like, you know, concussions, like they happened pretty frequently, and that whole thing is instilled in them to keep going. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily blame Matt for this, but the person I will blame for this is the doctor, because he allowed the match to continue, and it really should not have gone on for Matt's safety, for everybody's safety, really. Like, I get that, you know, it's a pay-per-view and they want to, and they did, in fact, like, you know, after the bell rang for the second time to restart the match, they went right towards the finish, and Sammy Guevara takes a sick bump off a scaffold onto a freaking crash pad, which looks really tame compared to what I saw. Like, this match.
So two things I want to reiterate on.
Yeah.
So number one, the whole Matt Hardy is wrong. Okay, this comes from a performer's standpoint, and nothing to this extent has happened to me before. But I've seen it with actors. If they get hurt backstage, the first thing they want to do is say, "No, I'm good. Keep going."
Yeah.
I had a friend who is a hardcore ballet dancer who I performed in Brigadoon with. She ate shit on stage one night and twisted her ankle. I had no idea she twisted her ankle. She came on stage 5 minutes later and did the sword dance with me.
Yeah.
So when it comes to performers and wrestlers and the show must go on, of course they're going to want to keep going. That is distilled in Matt Hardy's mind. So what should have happened is sometimes someone needs to step in and say, "No, Matt, you are not okay." But the person who was supposed to do that told him he was okay.
How do they
in the rings in the doctor?
How does someone go through concussion protocol in less than 5 minutes? Is my question. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, man. But
you know, everyone likes to talk shit about the WWE doctor, you know, like on what he did to CM Punk. But at least that doctor told Punk, "You have a concussion. We're pulling you out of this match now."
Yeah.
As opposed to, "Nah, you're okay."
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, this match gets no stars. I mean, this was a disaster. No. Like,
it was.
Man.
And a lot of people were saying it killed the rest of the pay-per-view for them.
See,
and it
honestly,
didn't kill the rest of the pay-per-view for me, but it definitely, I felt it. Like, the rest of the show was not the same.
Yeah, I felt it too. And like, it didn't really affect the show for me either, because there was a lot of great wrestling on this show after this, and we'll start to talk about it. We'll lighten the mood a little bit, but getting that out of the way.
Now let's
breathe, take a sip of water. Next match is for the All Elite Wrestling Women's World Title. Hikaru Shida, the champion, defending against the NWA Women's World Champion, Thunder Rosa, who is Tomas's homie, actually.
Who I am ecstatic for. She probably doesn't remember who I am. But quick story, I remember Thunder Rosa when she wasn't a wrestler. I am from the Sacramento area, and I used to go to a lot of independent shows in the area, and she wrestled a lot of Northern California matches in Pacifica, in Oakland, in
probably Hayward.
In that area,
like
APW. In that area.
Yeah.
And I've had a few interactions with her, and she is a wonderful person. She is a lovely person. And even when I saw her in NWA, I was like, holy shit. She worked her ass off in the past, 3 years, and she's already, where she is. So, good for her. This was a fun match. It was, again, we just had that disaster. But I feel like these women, they really pulled through and they put on a good match. It was a little predictable, though. There was no way Rosa was going to come right into the company and take down Shida, who has been very strong the past few months. And she's already the NWA Women's Champion. I feel like, regardless of the status of the world, NWA will come back. And there's a reason why. If NWA was shutting its doors for good, they would have taken that title away from her a long time ago.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, absolutely. And I love the connection that AEW and NWA have too. But these two I thought had really great chemistry together. This was a really stiff match. Thunder Rosa hit do you remember when Sabu would set up the chair as if he was going to sit in it, and then he would do the little springboard off of it and do a drop kick? Thunder Rosa did that in this match, and I popped huge for that. I haven't seen that in ages. But lots of really interesting submissions between the two. I wrote down, what is that Rosa submission at one point in the match, and I guess Excalibur called it a hanging pendulum. I will trust Excalibur because he's awesome.
Yeah.
But Shida jumping knee strikes. Rosa counters the Falcon Arrow beautifully, I might add, into an inside cradle a couple times for 2. Rosa hit a Death Valley driver on the apron, which could not have been comfortable at all.
Oh yeah. Remember, that is the hardest part of the ring.
It is, yep. Hikaru Shida eventually starts to make her comeback. She hits a springboard version of Michael Cole's favorite move onto the stage.
Meteora!
Yes. Where was he to call that shit?
Fun bit about that spot. My mom was sitting next to me during that match, and I go, "Hey, you see how the stage is carpeted? Oh, you're probably thinking, they probably get slammed on that and it doesn't hurt. Oh no, Cody did a suicide dive and he missed, and he cut his face up on that carpet.
Yep.
So take that.
Yep. Well, that was
atheist.
Well, that was actually, I think that whole spot was the whole reason why that ramp is carpeted now, because I think that ramp was steel last year at Full Gear, if I remember right.
I could have swore like someone hurt themselves on the carpet. Like they got a nasty cut.
I'd have to go back and watch it. I don't remember off the top of my head, but Shida hits a Falcon Arrow for one count, and I was like, damn, psychology later on,
Yeah, I feel like this match told a really good story.
It did.
Like the kind of story you don't really see anymore.
It did. Shida eventually, Rosa hits a backstabber, and then Shida comes back and hits the Tomas, I believe it was called, the elbow strike. That's a 3 count. 3.5 stars out of 5 I gave it. Very good women's match. They definitely gave this match all they could to bring some life back into the place. Impressive showing by both. I did have a couple of small psychology issues with the match, and I definitely feel like it was predictable as hell because there was no way Shida was dropping this title. But I definitely feel like it was a really good showcase for both of them.
Oh yeah, 3.5 for me as well. This was really fun. Very, very, very good women's wrestling from both of them.
Yes.
I hope, I see this match as Thunder Rosa's audition for AEW. And she should definitely she passed with flying colors for me.
Totally.
I hope. This is not the last we see of her.
I don't think so.
Speaking of people who apparently are not signed with AEW, in the hype package for this next match, I hear Matt Cardona say, "I'm not even signed to this company, so I have nothing to lose." What do you mean you're not signed to the company? Is Matt Cardona's wrestled 4 matches and he's not signed with AEW? I don't believe that.
Man.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so of course he's referring to the 8-man tag team matchup next. 4 members of the Dark Order. It's made up of Mr. Brody Lee, the TNT champion, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, and Colt Cabana for some reason, going up against the Natural Nightmare, Scorpio Sky, and Matt Cardona. And I know you wanted to talk about one of these baby faces. So, well, I take your silence is very appropriate here.
Remember at the beginning of this review when I said I love everybody in AEW?
He doesn't
love
Well,
that everybody. Was a lie. I hate QT Marshall.
Oh, man.
When I first saw QT Marshall, he was teaming with Cody. And I said, who the hell is that? Who is this man that just randomly showed up and is apparently, he's Cody's friend? Okay. Brutus Beefcake was Hulk Hogan's friend, and he rode his coattails.
Yeah.
Our random tag team debate we like to have?
QT Marshall and Dustin Rhodes?
That tag team is on this list.
Oh.
I don't know what it is about this man, but I don't like him. You rip him away from Cody and friends? Well, who is he? He's Cody's friend.
He was fine in this match. I feel like everybody...
They like to say that Cardona is Cody's friend. No. Cardona can get over by himself. Marshall can't.
Speaking of, Matt Cardona...
And we will get... And even telegraphed in this match, Marshall doesn't even have his own finisher.
Oh my lord.
He stole it from DDP.
It's a jumping diamond cutter. It's essentially just an RKO.
He stole his finisher from DDP.
He stole his finisher from Randy Orton also.
He did.
You know, like, so by that logic, Randy Orton stole his finisher from DDP. But yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't go, oh, here comes the diamond cutter. DDP blessed him to use this move.
Yeah.
In all retrospective, I should be getting upset at Kevin Owens for using the stunner. And I kind of am. Because I'm just like, Owens, your finisher is a pop-up powerbomb. That's unique.
Yeah.
Why do you want to use the stunner?
Yeah. That's fair. But
on a brighter note, Scorpio Sky should be the world champion.
Scorpio Sky's freaking awesome, man. As a singles guy, like, I know he's in a trio right now with SCU, but they're not like building him up with SCU right now.
Slowly starting to like
split him away
from that.
But other than like, if you don't have Scorpio Sky, it's just like, you know, Bad Addiction, Daniels and Kazarian. You know, like,
oh yeah,
it's just what it's been.
Fun fact: they have been teaming for 8 years now.
Man, has it really
across
been
3 different promotions?
Has it really been 8 years since the Claire Lynch storyline?
Oh, yeah. Yep, that's the best thing that came out of that storyline.
God, Daniels and Kazarian as a team.
The bad influence in TNA, to the Addiction in Ring of Honor, to the trio known as SoCal Uncensored. Regardless of adding a third man, Daniels and Kazarian have been teaming for 8 years.
And they're a great tag team.
Consistency in pro wrestling that we do not have anymore.
They are a fantastic tag team. Absolutely, to your point.
I hope they retire as a team.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
Also, I gotta say, Matt Cardona. We were kind of texting back and forth during this show, but Matt Cardona is freaking humongous. Like, he is in great shape. He has a great look to go as far as he wants to in this promotion. Like,
I think people forget how big he is because he was always portrayed as the loser in WWE.
Yeah,
and I think I realized this when he was feuding against Rusev, and I realized that he is taller than Rusev. So I Googled him, and I found out he is over 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
He ain't no pipsqueak.
He's a big boy, you know?
Bro.
Like, you know it. But yeah, so it's
notable things I want to point out about Cardona. He renamed the Broski boot the Reboot, and I love that.
That's a great. I almost wanted to say
also
reboot.
Radio Silence is a great name for instead of the Rough Rider.
Yes, and that's a finisher I really love because you could like hit it from anywhere, really, like, and you could hit it from out of nowhere, and it looks cool. Also, like, that's a great move, the Radio Silence.
Yeah. You know, I think it's very fair to give a lot of praise to Cardona and Scorpio Sky and Dustin Rhodes, who does not age. I think that's a fair trade-off from having QT Marshall in this match.
Yeah, this is it's a fun 8-man tag team match. I mean, here's the problem though. Like, the Dark Order got heat on QT Marshall for a little bit, and then Cardona gets the hot tag, and then they get heat on Cardona for a little bit to build up the hot tag to Dustin Rhodes. And it's like, why do you need like 2 sections of heat right there for the heels? Like,
oh yeah, and that is, as we get into the tag team title match too, that's going to be an issue I have with that as well. I feel like, you know, you have an 8-man tag like on TV, they can get away with 1, but they just feel like, oh, we're on pay-per-view, we got to stretch this out. So
yeah, can I say
2 hot tags?
Yeah, 2 hot tags. Can I say one other thing about the Dark Order real quick before we get to the finish? What? So the Dark Order comes out for their entrance, and you have Brody Lee with all his minions, perfect. And then the last minion to join the line is Colt Cabana, and I'm sorry, Colt Cabana does not fit with this group.
He doesn't
at all. Like, he comes out and he's all like jolly and happy, like, hey guys, you know, let's go and do this. And you have Brody Lee with all of his minions, and it's almost like a lighter version of like the Ministry from 1999. Like, Colt Cabana, it's almost like the chemistry geek in high school. No offense to like any chemistry geeks out there, but it's almost like one of those kids trying to sit at the jocks table. Like, it just doesn't work. Like,
oh yeah,
it looks like, I don't know. It just looks
But
funny.
I guess that was the point, because the ending of this match is Cabana basically fucking up the match for the Dark Order.
Yep. It was basically Brody Lee hitting his discus lariat on Dustin, and then Colt asks for the tag, and then Brody Lee gives it to him. Colt goes for his moonsault, Lee can't believe it. Colt misses it, and then Dustin rolls him up for the 3 count. I thought that was a pretty well booked finish. I mean, Brody Lee was not pinned, so
it got the baby faces over. Don't forget the whole point of this match is they're getting revenge for Cody.
Yes.
Can you get off his dick for 1 minute?
Cody Rhodes was nowhere to be found on this pay-per-view, by the way. But anyway, 3 stars out of 5. I mean, this was a fun little 8-man tag team match. I thought everyone looked good and they got their spots in. No real complaints from me aside from, you know.
2 3/4 for me. This is, it was filler on my end. But fun. Again, good workers.
I will say,
Brody Lee's great.
My favorite part of this match, though, is actually the fantastic promo by Dustin Rhodes afterwards. And Tony Schiavone also tells him that this Wednesday on Dynamite, or at the time of recording, it's Monday right now, but this Wednesday on Dynamite, he's going to get a TNT title shot against Brody Lee. And Dustin genuinely seemed to be taken aback by that. And it was a very humbled, empowered promo. And I was like,
it's like he didn't know. He was, I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't know that he was going to be told that in the promo. And he even said, like, it's been so long since he's had a title shot.
Mm-hmm.
And,
since he's had gold around his waist.
Oh, yeah. And, so, yeah, that was fun. And it was a nice palate cleanser.
Absolutely, for sure. Speaking of tag team wrestling.
I will say, real quick, to that TNT title match, if Brody didn't just win the title, I would definitely put Dustin as a strong contender to win that title. But Brody just won. They want to push him. But it's going to be a good match.
Oh, it's going to be a really good match. Dustin has been putting on some of the best work of his entire career, honestly, and he's nearing the end. He's definitely, past the prime of his career at this point, and he's putting on some of the best matches of his life, and it's really awesome to see that. And Brody Lee is Brody Lee. I love him. I've always thought he was super underrated. But anyway, here we go. Speaking of tag team wrestling, AEW World Tag Team Titles on the line. Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page versus FTR, accompanied by Tully Blanchard. This is awesome chants immediately from the crowd.
And here comes Grumpy Gus to come and ruin the fun. This match was almost a half hour long, and I felt every single minute of this match.
There it is. Yeah. It
wasn't bad. Not going to say the match was bad, but
I thought this match was absolutely fantastic, but a lot of people really found this match underwhelming. And I want to really preface this point by actually referring to a WWE match here. AJ Styles, do you guys remember AJ Styles' first WWE title match against Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania? Everybody was hyping up that match. They were expecting a 5-star classic here. And then when they did not get the 5-star classic, they were like, oh, this is the worst match of the year. When in actuality, it wasn't. It was a really well-worked match. But people's expectations were set so high that there's nowhere else to go but down. I feel like it's the same way with this tag team title match. I'm not saying I wasn't expecting a great match from them. It was still a really good match. And I wanted this match to be 5 stars. But, I mean, if I have those expectations going in, of course I'm not going to like it,
Yeah, that's a very good point. But I am on the contrary. I think I knew exactly what this match was going to be. And I felt this way about almost all of Kenny Omega and Adam Page's tag team title defenses. I feel like just the style they wrestle and the story that they were trying to tell with FTR wasn't necessarily going to be a, flippy shit. A lot of people were saying there was too many near falls, but I don't think there was. This wasn't like an NXT match.
No,
this wasn't like a, another FTR match. This wasn't like FTR versus DIY.
Of course not. No, it was a different style.
No, this wasn't a, and I don't know. It's going to be really hard for me to put into words how I felt about this match. And I feel like I'm right in the middle of, I didn't hate this match. I didn't. I felt it.
Yeah.
I just felt, and I knew what they were trying to do. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it was a combination of, this pay-per-view was very long, by the way.
Yeah.
I think we've all been spoiled by WWE kind of getting their act together when it comes to, and I mean this with pay-per-views because we all know WWE is not getting their act together with anything. They're not letting wrestlers go have a Twitch account now, which is bullshit, but
It really is.
another argument for another time.
Yeah.
But they have gotten their act together with, hey, maybe Hell in a Cell doesn't need to be 4.5 hours long. Let's make these pay-per-views no longer than 3.5.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like everything we've seen at this point, because I was looking at the clock, and this is at the point where I was going, oh, we have 2.5 more matches to go. And again, it's really hard for me to put into words how I felt about this match. It wasn't bad by any means, but they could have shaved like 6 or 7 minutes off this match.
Yeah, I mean,
This was another match where I felt like, did you need 2 hot tags?
You really didn't. I felt it a little more. I was really enjoying this match like a lot. I really love the psychology of this match. I loved what they were going for. But like I said, they should have shaved off like at least 5 minutes, like no more than 10 minutes. So I feel like they could have gone 20 minutes and still put on like a fantastic match, maybe even better than the one we got. But I mean, Kenny Omega was selling his knee for a little bit. And I mean, Kenny Omega's offense, like he makes it look so easy, but like when he sells, like he's the hot tag guy. I don't think he should be the guy that takes the heat. You know what I mean? Like I feel like he was selling his knee for a long time.
Oh yeah. And of course he's doing his thing. He's getting the V triggers in. They're teasing the V trigger buckshot, which if I'm gonna say right now, if there's one move Omega needs to tone it down with, it's the V trigger. Like we get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Imagine if Daniel Bryan hit the running knee 6 times in one match. But that goes back to the whole super kick debate.
That's true.
But if there's one move I'm going to tell Omega to tone it down with, it's the V trigger.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, he does have a pretty like impressive arsenal to begin with. So anyway, I mean, I feel like this match went like extremely uphill in terms of quality once the hot tag to Hangman was made. He comes in and he does his cowboy shit, and the crowd is chanting cowboy shit also, which is one of my favorite chants in the business right now. Basically, they go for the last call. Kenny accidentally hits Adam Page, if I can speak. Omega accidentally hits him with the V-trigger and a chop block to Kenny. FTR hits the Mindbreaker on Page, which is it's an assisted sit-out pile driver, which they hit it twice on Page, and that's how they become the new tag team champions. It was a very telegraphed ending for me, and the ending kind of felt anticlimactic. And for me, like that finisher for FTR is nowhere near as cool looking or as good as the Shatter Machine. Like
no,
cool
and thank you for saying Shatter Machine. I can't call it the Goodnight Express.
The Goodnight is that what they're calling it?
It's called the Goodnight Express.
Oh God, I haven't heard that. It makes me mad
because I could have swore I read that FTR they oh my God, they copyrighted Shatter Machine, and they were actually even debating calling their team that, which I'm just like, okay, I could have rolled with that, but I can't get behind the Goodnight Express.
Yeah, they call themselves. Like
we said about Radio Silence. Radio Silence is a great name for a finisher.
It is.
Goodnight Express compared to the Shatter Machine.
The Shatter Machine sounds intimidating, But they hit 2 Mindbreakers. They get the 3 count. Well deserved win for FTR. They're the new World Tag Team Champions. 4 stars out of 5. 4 stars out of 5 for me. This was a great match, but I definitely couldn't help but feel like it was missing something. Maybe it went over long. Maybe that's the only thing, but I don't know.
Maybe the crowd was exhausted. Maybe we're all exhausted. A lot of factors went into this match. 3.5 for me, and I feel like that's fair enough to give the match the quality rating it deserved, but also factoring in my gripes with the match as well. Here's the thing. I'm not upset with the match. I'm upset with what happened after the match. Because I feel like with this storytelling, they have been building, and they have been building, and they have been building to an Adam Page heel turn.
Yep.
Tonight, they decide with everything. with the Bucks, with all this. They decide to throw that out and decide, no, it's Omega and the Bucks that are going to turn heel, not Paige.
Well,
AEW, make up your mind.
Yeah, make up your mind for one. And like, here's the thing, though. I feel like Kenny Omega's a better like heel anyway because of his like New Japan stuff. Like he is just so like anything he touches, I feel like he can make it work. And same with the Bucks also. And the Bucks are unbelievable.
And I get what they're trying to do. Maybe it is more like oh, you know what? Hangman Page is an outcast, and maybe he just wants when he be left alone. But here are his friends. They're bullying him into being something he doesn't want to be. So yeah, that I get how that makes Omega look like the bad guy. Omega and the Bucks look like the bad guy.
Right.
And, you know, maybe that helps the fans like simple because I get it at the same time because the fans they connect with Paige very well.
Oh
but
yeah.
I want AEW to have a plan and stick to it.
Yeah, I agree
and
too.
I'm not going to be a hypocrite. WWE does the same thing. So anyone who's going to call me a hypocrite, like, no, WWE does the same thing. All wrestling promotions need to have a plan and stick to it.
Mm-hmm.
And we had this debate before saying Omega grabbed the TV tray, which it looked like to me, and he looked like he was going to hit Paige with it, but then he backed off of it. My claim to that is literally the night before we just had Bayley turn on Sasha Banks, which is probably the biggest moment, the biggest storyline in wrestling right now.
Mm-hmm.
At least in WWE, it's the biggest shocker right now. I don't think AEW wanted to turn around and do the same exact thing to their equivalent to that feud, to that angle. Because I look at Paige and Omega a lot like Banks and Bayley.
Yeah, I agree there. I can think of at least one other bigger shocker in WWE than Bayley turning on Banks finally, but like, I mean, yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It looks like it was going to be
good point. One of the bigger storylines.
Yeah.
And again, one of the bigger storylines on SmackDown.
Yes.
But, you know, when you have something that's very similar to on AEW, it's not the same thing. But again, I've always looked at it as they're building to it. They're going to do it. They finally pulled the trigger on Banks and Sasha Banks and Bayley. Like, you know, now we're waiting for Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega to do it.
Yeah.
But now it's like AEW changed their minds. Like, no. We need to rewrite this now. Now we're going to have Omega and the Bucks be the heels. And Page is going to be the sympathetic babyface.
And I think that that's the right call, honestly, because I feel like Hangman is a much more, like, he's a much better babyface than he is a heel, personally. And I feel like his ceiling, Adam Page, I don't think he's even 30 yet right now. So, like, I feel like his ceiling is definitely higher. Omega and the Bucks, you know, they've done a lot for the business already, and they've delivered so many classic matches, including the tag match of Revolution, which is still the best AEW match the entire year. But yeah, this match, I mean, I liked it, but definitely.
But then Omega goes to leave, and the Bucks are with him, and he just tells the Bucks, "Oh, okay, clean slate." It's like, oh my God, make up your goddamn mind.
Yeah.
Like, clean slate, what does that mean? Does that mean Paige is out and they're going to start over? Does that mean Paige is in and they're just going to pretend none of that happened? Like,
just get to the point, man. It's like,
get to the point. Okay, yeah. You know, it's like my issue with, again, Bayley, Sasha Banks back in like 2017 when they were fighting, and then they're friends, and then they're fighting again. Now they're the tag team champions. It's like, WWE, do you even know what you want to do with this? AEW, do you even know what you want to do with the Elite?
Yeah.
Are we going to get this heel turn in 2023?
I hope not.
At this point, I'm not surprised.
I hope they don't wait that long. But, I mean, hey, speaking of getting right to the point, what do we have next?
Ooh, finally, something I'm happy to talk about. Mimosa Mayhem match. Orange Cassidy, Chris Jericho. I was hyped for this match.
Yes.
What
is a Mimosa Mayhem match, by the way?
Not the brightest idea in Jericho's book of ideas, I will say, because I do think this match is very situational, and I don't ever see Jon Moxley and Cody ever having a Mimosa Mayhem match.
No.
This match is tailor-made for this feud, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. I just had a little issue with Jericho saying, I came up with the Money in the Bank ladder match. Now I came up with Mimosa Mayhem. Like, there's not going to be a Mimosa Mayhem match every single year.
No.
But those are all the negatives I have to say because this is
what is a Mimosa Mayhem
80
match,
gallons
by the way?
of orange juice mixed with 80 gallons of a little bit of the bubbly. And there are 3 ways to win this match. Pinfall, submission, which I go, ha.
Yeah.
Or shoving your opponent into a vat of mimosa.
I feel like of mimosa.
With the creativity between Cassidy and Jericho in this feud, I feel like I was just going to have fun with this match, and I did.
Totally.
Very good point made by Jericho in the promo before the match, saying this wasn't a feud, this wasn't an angle, this was an experiment to see if Orange Cassidy could be a main event star. And I agree. I think this feud has turned Cassidy into a main event star.
It really has. Orange Cassidy, as a gimmick, for those of you that don't know what Orange Cassidy is, like, I'm sorry. He is essentially like the laziest worker on the roster, and it's like played a lot as a joke. Like, he comes out, like, you know, sometimes with a backpack, sometimes with a little bottle of orange juice. And he wrestles with his hands in his pockets, and like he throws the laziest kicks to the shins you will ever see, and the crowd pops for it like it's the most devastating thing of all time. And like the gimmick and concept is mostly played to be a joke, but this feud with Jericho has, I agree, really carried Orange Cassidy over the top. And don't lie, by the way, y'all were singing Jericho's song like the live audience was. Because I was.
Oh, I've been doing that every week since AEW started.
Yeah,
the crowd got into it since the Jericho Cruise, to be more specific.
The match starts.
Jericho Cruise, I've been singing along.
It's a great song. Fozzy is really awesome.
It is.
You know, like
NXT Takeover used it first.
Yep, they did, and then Jericho's using it as his theme, and I think it's a perfect theme for his character right now. But thank you, Jericho, and freshly squeezed the dueling chance to start. Jericho immediately hits a code breaker and gets 2, and I'm like, you hit a finisher right away.
That's a way to start off the match.
Yeah. Chops on Orange is Jericho.
One thing I did like about this match, not to jump ahead more, but
go ahead.
Judas effect. No Judas effect.
No Judas effect at all.
They're protecting that move.
Mm-hmm.
Because the gimmick with that move is no one kicks out of the Judas effect. And we don't get too many finishers in pro wrestling nowadays that are protected. And I'm glad the Judas effect is.
Yeah, the Judas effect is protected except if you're in Stadium Stampede. But Jericho, of course, I mean, he gets some near falls throughout. There were some really sick spots on the outside. I love how they teased, the Mimosa dunking, and I love how the announcers iterate that. It's not like, oh, you can't like dip somebody's hand into the Mimosa. No, it has to be like a full like dousing,
completely submerged.
Yes.
Thank you for making that clear from the start.
Yes,
because I feel like there are a lot of matches like that with technicalities that gloss over. But no, thank you for making that clear from the start that you need to be completely submerged in the mimosa to win the match. Because I mentioned earlier during the Broken Rules match, Aubrey Edwards is pulling Earl Hebner. Earl Hebner did this very annoying thing in last man standing matches where he wouldn't count when the opponent is down, and he would only count when it's a big spot, making it completely obvious and not following the rules of the match. And that pissed me off. And even Jerry Lawler would say that on commentary a lot, like, why isn't he counting? Why isn't he counting? Like, don't gloss over the rules. And I feel like they did a good job of establishing that in this match.
That's very true, too. There were a lot of sick spots. I think Orange took a power bomb through one of the tables that was at ringside that had a little, had a little ice cooler with a little bit of the bubbly inside of it. And the point of the bottle must have gone into his back or something. That did not look safe at all. But, I mean, thankfully he's okay.
At that point, Cassidy was a blood orange.
God. Anyway, Mimosa
to the so long to bust that one out.
I'm so upset right now. Yeah. So Jericho catches a code breaker, somewhat awkward landing there. Getting closer to the end of the match now. That's of course a 2 count, and of course Aubrey Edwards is the referee, and of course Chris Jericho has to argue with Aubrey Edwards, because that's like one of his main gimmicks.
Going back to Earl, Jericho to Aubrey is like Triple H to Earl. And I love that relationship.
I'm challenging the play. You're challenging the play? Yes, let's go to the replay.
It's getting to the point. It's getting to the point where Aubrey needs to start shoving Jericho down, like Earl would to Triple H.
But at the same time, I love how Aubrey Aubrey Edwards is incredible as the referee. By the way, I love her. She's awesome. But I love how she sells the ridiculousness of what Jericho is selling her. When Jericho pulled out the red challenge flag during the Stadium Stampede match, she had the most baffled look on her face I've ever seen from a referee, and I was like, that's hilarious. That makes this moment for me.
Again, glad they have that relationship, because I feel like there's not that dynamic between wrestler and referee anymore. And again, the best example I can come up with is Earl Hebner and Triple H, because they had the same beef with each other back in the day.
Agreed. Yeah. But yeah, Jericho, ending of the match comes. They're on the second rope by a vat of mimosa at ringside. Jericho has Orange up for a razor's edge, but Orange gets out of it. And Orange hits what they call the Orange Punch. He hits it twice. It's essentially just a Superman punch, and Jericho is on the second rope. The second one sends Jericho flying off the ropes into the vat, and the match is over. Orange Cassidy defeats Chris Jericho and ends this feud. Wow. 3.25 stars from me. Much like the eye for an eye match, this is an inherently goofy concept, but the nice work from both guys do make this match work. I had tons of fun with the Mimosa Mayhem match personally. I would say this was better than the eye for an eye match, because at least here I could suspend my disbelief. I could.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely an inherently simple concept, and it's definitely very believable. Obviously, Rey Mysterio's back. He tore his tricep, but he wrestled at Payback. But yeah, Jericho loses, and I'm sure he's going to be back next week. It didn't look like, it looked like a fun way to lose the match.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This was super fun. 3.5 stars for me. This was personally my favorite match of the night. It hit on all cylinders. I think Cassidy and Jericho told a very good story with this match, and it elevated Cassidy like it was meant to do.
Oh, yeah.
And at the same time, it protected Jericho.
It did.
Because Jericho is probably the most protected wrestler in AEW right now. Mm-hmm. And he's finally paying it back. I feel like he's established himself as such a big star in AEW that, when he's beaten, it's a big deal. And it's going to start elevating guys. And Cassidy was the first of hopefully many.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree there. He is like this era's version of the WCW Hulk Hogan, essentially. He is the most protected guy in the company, but unlike the Hulkster, he was willing to put over the future of the company and invest in them. And that's why I really respect Chris Jericho. Even though he himself is willing to evolve and change his character with the time, he is also more than willing to invest in the future and make them look like $1 million. And that's what he did with Orange Cassidy here. Definitely a very fun match. I'll definitely be going back and rewatching this one for sure, along with a couple other matches on this show. But here we are already, the main event for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. The champion, Jon Moxley, who was almost mugged by a fan during his entrance, which made me really upset.
Was he mugged by a fan? I thought that was just a little kid that wanted to touch him. Again, correct me if I'm wrong.
Alternate footage, it was definitely an adult male for sure. But it was
because again, I wasn't paying attention, and it's funny. I was literally thinking that Moxley's coming down. It sucks. They're probably told no, you can't touch the fan for obvious reasons.
Right.
But then I saw that happen real quick, and I was like, holy shit. Oh, it was a kid that wanted to touch Moxley. And I think even the commentator said that. They said, oh, he just wanted to touch his hero, Jon Moxley. So I didn't think anything of that. But is that what happened?
I don't know. I don't know, man. Alternate angles showed security taking that fan out of the arena, but it was definitely not a
Um,
little kid. But he's defending his championship against
as you
Maxwell
continue with this match,
Jacob
I'm actually going to
Friedman.
look that up.
Yeah. Maxwell Jacob Friedman is the challenger in this match, of course. Undefeated MJF. Mox also undefeated in 2020. So this is a pretty big match that they're hyping up here. What a dickhead MJF is. Like, he is like, you have the King Corbin heat in WWE, but it's like, you can't help but like respect MJF for how committed he is to the character. Like, have you ever seen MJF at an autograph signing? Like,
MJF is the best heel in the business right now.
he
I
will
will say that.
he will legitimately refuse to smile with the fans, and he will like roll his eyes and like cross his arms like when they go up to take a picture with him. Like,
And nothing against anybody in this day and age, but I feel like a lot of people in this day and age may, take that as, oh, he's so mean, he's so rude. He should. Have you guys ever seen a bad guy in wrestling before? They're not supposed to be nice. They're
no,
not supposed to be polite.
they're not.
I remember MJF was making fun of Bret Hart for getting attacked by the fan at the Hall of Fame ceremony. And a lot of people may be saying like, oh, that's insensitive. It's like, that's his job
Yeah,
to be insensitive.
it's
He wasn't
his
making
job.
fun of a dead family member. He was making fun of Bret for getting, I'm sure Bret laughs at it now.
If the bad guy does not actually piss you off, he is not doing his job correctly. But
Absolutely not.
MJF,
But real quick, how you say about autograph signings. Shout out to Good Micwork Commentaries for supplying the story, because this happened to him on the Jericho cruise this past year. He said he was in line to meet MJF, and apparently a fan who was in a wheelchair went up to MJF, and MJF referred to them as Hot Wheels. This fan proceeded to stand up.
oh my God.
So
no.
he said that was a very fun, because he was saying why do I keep saying Moxley? MJF was doing a lot of that on the cruise. He was on his phone.
Yeah.
He refused to like acknowledge any of the fans. He was like calling them names, but he did hear about the fan he called Hot Wheels, and the fan proceeded to stand up.
Of course, yeah, that's wild, man. But I know JR was great on commentary all night, but especially in this match, he was saying how spoiled MJF is, but he couldn't help but put him over for how good he was in this match. MJF legitimately reminds me of a young Randy Orton. Like, he wrestles a similar style to Randy Orton. It's very methodical, it's very traditional, but it works, man. He is phenomenal. And Jon Moxley, of course, is Jon Moxley. We all love him, especially right now. Jon Moxley's the man. But Moxley, there's some really great psychology in this match. Funny enough, I did not mention a stipulation for this match is that Moxley is not allowed to use the paradigm shift.
And I loved how I forgot that was the stipulation. I feel like when a finishing move is banned, they gotta drill it hard. That move is like, oh, that's the only move that wrestler knows. No, they barely even referenced it. Not until halfway through the match when Moxley tried to use it. And they had to remind her, like, no, remember, Moxley, you're going to lose the title if you use that move. I feel like it was a minor detail in the match that didn't take away from it.
And
it wasn't like Shawn Michaels and Randy Orton, where they had to remind us every 5 seconds that Michaels couldn't use the super kick.
Yeah, and Mox's arsenal is so like expansive that, to your point, I forgot that the paradigm shift was banned. Like, even going into this match, and even as I was watching it, I kind of forgot that the paradigm shift was like. And there were a couple of teases where Mox wanted to use the paradigm shifts, but the referee was like, no, you can't do that. But that wasn't the focal point of the match. This was more about like, how much both guys wanted the world title, plain and simple. And it works, man. I loved this match.
This match benefited, and it needed the blood.
It really did. Yeah, that was something I was really, like, I don't want to say, like, happy to see. But, I mean.
Yeah. And JR with the best call of the night. Like I said, he was on his game for this match especially. Yeah. And my favorite quote from him from this match was, oh, how is Moxley? I mean, I keep saying Mox.
Two M
how
names.
Is MJF how is MJF going to react to tasting his own blood? I love that.
Yeah. You know, it was, man. So another big like gimmick of this match is that Mox really wanted this match on the outside of the ring, but MJF, who I actually agree with on this, wanted the match inside because those of my viewers that remember my Double or Nothing review, my biggest complaint with Moxley's match on that show was his match with Brody Lee was just built as a one fall normal World Heavyweight Championship match. But Moxley and Brody Lee fought that match like it was a street fight. And the referee was very, very generous of allowing those no DQs and no countouts. And like, it really kind of like
the same issue we had with Rock and Undertaker from No Way Out.
Exactly. Yep. But the referee, thankfully, they didn't do a whole lot of that, and it didn't really like, you know, tamper my enjoyment of the match as much. I actually like this match more than the Double or Nothing match that Moxley had. Moxley at one point does some joint manipulation, and MJF screams like a little girl, "Ref! Ref!" And I was like, he's a heel. He hated that move. Like, MJF is using Crossroads as one of his signature moves because he's a dickhead. Mox reverses it into a sleeper. MJF tries that Bret Hart roll through. Nice near fall there. This match feels like a fight. And like another thing that I really liked, and I completely forgot to mention, Wardlow was also at ringside. Wardlow played little to no part in this match at all, which really shocked me.
Which was nice, you know. This match could have been an overbooked mess, but it wasn't. It was it was a nice surprise.
I'm glad they didn't go in that direction. And Mox, at one point, Mox's shoulder was dropped onto the apron in a great move by MJF. Great selling of the arm by Moxley throughout the entire match. And Wardlow, here's where Wardlow plays a factor. He actually threw Moxley back into the ring. Like, usually the manager or the valet would like punch out the champion or whatever. Like, they wouldn't just throw them back into the ring, but like, he's aware because they're smart heels that like MJF can't win the championship by count out. So he threw him back in the ring.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's great psychology there. Like I said, yeah. MJF, great quote by MJF. "I thought you were hardcore, dipshit." I was like, man, I was just like, the first time I've heard dipshit like on a live WWE, or I almost said WWE, a live wrestling show rather, you know. But Mox, to your point, slingshots MJF face first into the ring post, and MJF is bleeding everywhere. Definitely added tons to the match. I loved seeing that. And Mox pops his shoulder back into place, and I was like, this is a tough son of a bitch right here. Yeah. Moxley hits a black hole slam on the floor. Moxley is biting MJF's cut, like right on his forehead. And I wrote down, "Where are the "you sick fuck" chants at?" Like, if any
this match definitely had that old school fight feel.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. It felt like a world title match for sure. That was one of the biggest praises I can give for this. But oh my gosh, yeah. So MJF spits in Mox's face. Another tease of the paradigm shifts. Going into the finish of the match, this is a really, really amazing sequence right here. Man, MJF was getting a lot of really good near falls also. MJF roll up, Crossroads by MJF for a near fall also. MJF was about in tears at that point. He was throwing a tantrum like he was Christian. But this is the finish. Wardlow goes with a distraction, and he has the referee occupied. He throws the ring into the ring, a sentence I never thought I'd say. MJF grabs the ring. Mox realizes with a sick look on his face that the ref's back is turned. Huge paradigm shifts, really quick. 3 count. Wow. 4 out of 5 stars.
That was not a finish. I wasn't expecting that finish at all. I like how it subtly planted the seeds to MJF splitting off from Wardlow.
Yeah, there's that, and there's also the possibility of maybe a rematch because MJF logically would like complain that Mox used the paradigm shift and he might use.
Oh, you know MJF is going to throw a huge fit.
Oh,
this
yeah.
Wednesday on Dynamite. He's going to throw he's going to throw the fit equivalent to when CM Punk lost the WWE title to The Rock. How Punk just stormed out, halted everything, screamed at the ring announcer saying, "You're going to call me the WWE champion because that's what I am, damn it."
Yeah.
And I envision it just like that because in a way, MJF does have a really legit gripe. You know, he was not supposed to use the paradigm shift.
Absolutely.
And just because the referee didn't see it, you know, technicalities, referee didn't see it, but he's gonna go on a tear.
Yeah.
And that definitely could lead to a rematch, but it's kind of like the same thing you're doing with Seth Rollins and Murphy. Wardlow's definitely going to get chewed out for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you.
So, yeah, 3 3/4 stars for me. And looking back on this, and again, good thing we had time for this pay-per-view to digest, despite the very sloppy and very dangerous stuff that happened on the first half of this pay-per-view, with the exception of the tag team title match, I really think the wrestling saved this show from being an absolute disaster.
It really did. I would rate this show overall, I would rate it a 7.5 out of 10. And a lot of people might be really shocked by that rating, but honestly,
yeah,
I feel like I liked this show more than Double or Nothing, if I'm being completely honest. I feel like it was a better, it was a more consistently booked show from beginning to end. And yeah, there were a lot of botches, and of course the horrific accident and the mishandling of that accident during the Broken Rules match definitely does not make this a classic show. But this show reminds me a lot of SummerSlam 1997. This is a really weird comparison, but you remember that Undertaker versus Bret Hart headlined that show for the WWF title. Great match. Mankind versus Hunter Hearst Helmsley inside the steel cage. Great match. But that show will always be tampered by the infamous Owen Hart Stone Cold match for the Intercontinental title, where Stone Cold was briefly paralyzed because Owen Hart made a mistake on the Tombstone Piledriver. But I'm not going to let a couple of accidents spoil a show for me personally. This was still a great show from AEW, I think.
It definitely hindered the show for me, just because, again, after it could have been a combination of that and just the pay-per-view was very long. But it's going to get a solid 7 for me. I was going into this about ready to give this a 6.5, but after really thinking about it and, the world title match and the Mimosa Mayhem match, it really saved this pay-per-view from being a total dumpster fire.
Yeah.
Because it was heading in that direction.
Yeah, similarly, I was really tempted to give this around the 6 range, but I was thinking about it and I was looking at my notes before we started recording and I was like, this show had 3 4-star matches on this show. That does not constitute a terrible show. Yeah, there's some horrendous mistakes on this show and those mistakes were not handled very well, but I'm not going to let those ruin the show for me. It was still a solid effort from AEW. I'm hoping that Full Gear is the show of the year because I wasn't the biggest fan of Double or Nothing personally, aside from Stadium Stampede. But
and to get this out there now, if the Broken Rules match really did ruin this show for you, by all means, you're entitled to your opinion.
Absolutely.
And I feel like AEW needs to hear that. So they never make that mistake ever again. Not just for the fans' sake, but for the safety of the boys and girls as well. So,
absolutely.
Like I've been reading a lot, people are very upset with the handling of the match, as they should be. AEW just needs to take that L and realize, you know what, we fucked up. They're never going to do that again.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, really solid show. That's going to do it for this podcast. Tomas, thank you again for hopping on. This is always a fun pleasure.
Oh, yeah.
As far as future reviews from us, look out for the continuation of our 2002 retrospective. We touched on it a little bit, but next on the docket is Backlash 2002, a show I am not looking forward to because of some really horrendous booking decisions on that show, but I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But look out for that, and of course, we'll be talking about Clash of Champions once that comes up, but yeah, this is going to do it, folks. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below as hard as you possibly can if you haven't yet. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't yet either, if you enjoyed the video. Look forward to more fun podcasts, more fun reviews very soon. You guys are the best. With all that being said, back talk, commence.